What is going on today, YouTube? Northeast Ohio here for another little video. We're on the table today. No charts and graphs. I have like a host of a bunch of small topics I kind of want to hit. And they kind of fall into basically like my do's and don'ts when it comes to uh sports card investing slash flipping slash hobby slash collecting slash whatever you want to call this roller coaster that we're all on together. Um, so you could kind of view these as like do's or don'ts, or the best description I can have is kind of like if you guys have seen Cocktails, like Coughlin's Law, kind of something like that. So I have a few random things. This might be a little all over the place. We'll see what happens. But I think this could be helpful for anyone either new or if you're in the game for a while as like a reevaluation point of, what are we trying to, or what are you trying to get out of this whole shenanigans? So, and that's the first thing on the list. So the first thing is, what are you in this for? Because a lot of that's going to dictate how a lot of these things go out, or which way you fall, which side of the fence you fall for a lot of these things. So for me personally, I am treating this more as an investment slash side profit center. Is it fun while doing that? Yes, absolutely. But I'm not in it for the thrill of, ripping wax or the chase per se. I'm in it more for buy at $1, sell at $2, to quote Prop Joe from The Wire. To me, that is the fun. And everyone's fun is going to be different. But if you're coming at this solely from an investment side of things, if you're in this to make money and to sustain long-term profit, I believe, and that's how I'm going to skew this video. There's some just general things that I kind of follow. So if that's not what you're in it for, if you're in it to have some fun, rip some packs, chase a Zion silver, whatever, that's fine. Some of this stuff may not apply to you. You may disagree with my statements, which is perfectly fine. So that's the very first thing, is know what you're in it for sure. The second big thing, and some of this might just be real general stuff for you. If you guys are in this or just getting into this, know how to ship cards. I made a video about it. There's plenty of videos about it. But don't start buying and selling before you have the shipping side figured out. Have your supplies. Know what you need. Don't half-ass it. Don't cheap out, because it'll just end up biting you in the butt if you try to cut corners when it comes to card shipping. You'll make the buyer mad. You're more likely to get a return. You're more likely to get negative feedback, whether it be on eBay or in a group. So just make sure you know what you're doing when it comes to shipping. To me, that is a major one. When it comes to the investing standpoint, if that's what you're going for, I personally have never, and I don't say that I never will, maybe I will one day, but I can't see the scenario in what I am doing presently. I am not big, and this could be a little hot buttony. I'm not big on breaks. I do not participate in breaks. I'm not anti-breaker or anything per se, but I question, if you're in this for investing, you should never enter a break ever, in my opinion. If you're paying $100 for a slot for random teams, whatever the product is, whatever the sport is, there's a chance, and probably a good chance, you're not going to get your $100 back. And yeah, maybe there's a chance that for $100 you hit a Zion RPA and it's $50,000 or whatever. Sure. Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? Probably not. And if it's something like NT, you're paying more than $100 anyway. For that same $100, you could go buy 2 PSA 10 Darius Garland prisms. Maybe not quite, but close. You get the point. You could buy 2 Tyler Hero, maybe even 3 Tyler Hero Raws, 2 Kobe White PSA 9 base prisms for the same $100. You are way more likely to make a profit off that than you are the break. Yes, breaks are fun. Breaks are exciting. There's a social aspect to it. But if you're in this strictly from an investing side of things, you should stay away from breaks. The other thing you should stay away from, in my opinion, is ripping wax from the secondary market. So what do I mean by that? Blaster boxes of Optic come out. They sell for $20. Someone on Facebook buys out the shelf, selling it for $60. Great. You do you. I'm not here to comment on the whole wiping the shelf out and flipping it thing. However, it is not smart, in my opinion, to buy the wax from a third party and rip it yourself. Wax is tough to break even on paying retail. It's near impossible to break even paying 3 to 4x retail. To break even on that, you either have to pull a monster or you got to pull something pretty good and hope it grades well and put the time and energy into grading it. Once again, if you're going to spend $60 on a blaster box of Optic marked up, that's $60. That's a Kevin Porter Jr. PSA 9 prism that you could buy. That is probably a safer investment than ripping that box. Yes, every once in a while you're going to hit the Zion, whatever. But more often than not, you're going to whiff. Or you're going to get $5, $10 worth of cards out of there. Maybe you could break even or make a little profit if you spend the time and energy to grade it, and if you pull a PSA 10. Now, ripping wax at the retail level, if you can find it, is a slightly different story because the cost of entry is so low. And if it's basketball specifically, there's so much profit in the singles that, you know, you can make a profit there. I have an interesting case study going on right now. As many of you know, I ripped a lot of Mosaic basketball that I paid retail price for. I kept track of it all in a spreadsheet. I kept track of what I paid for it and how much I could have sold it for. And people do this all the time, but when they do it, they're usually showing you like their guesstimates or their estimates. I've factored in what I've gotten graded and the grading fees associated with that. I'm waiting for a batch to come back from PSA and to sell through that stuff. So it's probably still going to be a couple months before this project is finished. But I should have real hard data on I spent this much money out of pocket on retail wax. I ripped it. This is what I could have sold it for. And this is what I made by ripping it, grading it, etc. That's a long process, but I think when I'm done, it's going to be interesting because it won't actually be people guessing on what they're going to sell the stuff for. It's what I actually sold it for with grading fees built in and all that. So that's a video for down the road. But if you can rip wax at retail, I'm all aboard on that. Now, strictly speaking, if you're just in it for the profit, early returns suggest you're probably better off just selling it at the 3x markup versus ripping it. I'm probably going to break even or come out slightly ahead, but there was a lot of time and energy to do that. Whereas just flipping the sealed wax is a lot easier, or holding it for that matter. That's also another option, is just hold it, which is usually the best option. But, and I was doing pretty well holding it. And then a pandemic set in and I was locked in my house for 3 months staring at wax and was weak and tore into it. So whoops. I've said this a lot on the channel, but the other thing that you should always do if you are buying singles, which I strongly suggest that you do, you need to have a plan. So if you're buying a card, what's your plan for that card? Are you long-term holding it? Are you short-term holding it? Most of the stuff I am purchasing right now, my general plan is to sell it in either the lead up to the season or shortly after the season starts. In general, I feel that most stuff should not be held for longer than a 6 month to a 1 year period, if that. In my opinion, in the NBA market, there are very, very few actual, really long term holds. Of the current modern day players, Luka, Giannis, Tatum, maybe Trae Young. I mean, obviously LeBron and those guys too, but I'm talking more like the ultra modern guys. In my opinion, that's about it. And I don't even know that Trae Young and Tatum are on that list. You're actually truly talking like long term. To me, it's Luka, Giannis, and LeBron of active players. Everyone else to me has probably seen their peak values sometime now. Even for the Hall of Fame guys, go look at what like Kevin Garnett PSA 10 rookie goes for, PSA 9. Go look at what Shaq sells pretty well, but even like Barkley, Karl Malone, their stuff sells pretty good. But given the current prices, most of these guys aren't going to be at that level. You look at like PJ Washington as an example. Like, look what his stuff sells for graded. There's no way in hell his stuff's worth that much on 5 years. Most of these guys that pass through your hands, sometime within the next few months is a pretty decent chance that's the highest value that will ever be on those cards. Bull back in June/July, whatever that was, that there's a decent chance that's the highest his card will ever be. More often than not, that's probably the case. Sure, every once in a while, someone comes out of nowhere. So I wouldn't get into these guys thinking, man, I'm going to hold this for 10 years and it's going to be great. Because most of these guys aren't going to reach that level. I mean, you have to be massively successful, like LeBron level, Giannis level, to get to those crazy high prices. And the math just says most of those guys don't get to that level. There's one or two a generation. Previous to this, it was Kobe and Shaq. This time through, it's LeBron. The next time through, maybe Giannis, maybe Luka. Those are probably the two most likely. And they could be playing together in a year. Who the hell knows? So have a plan and know if you're in this for short or long term. In my opinion, the best way to play this is short term. Short term flips. Buy when the market's low in the off season, sell on the way up. Buy raw rookies, get them graded, etc. Sell during the peak months. Get in, get out. Move on to the next guy. Get in, get out. Move on to the next guy. It's a grind, but if you're truly in it to make money, I think that's the way to go. Couple more. You need to have, and I don't care if you're paying for market movers like I do, or you're on Card Genie or Card Hedger or Card Over the Rainbow or ladders and shoots and ladders, an Excel spreadsheet, an abacus, a PowerPoint presentation, whatever you're doing, you need to be tracking your data. Whether it's something you're paying for or something you just came up with on your own, you need to be tracking your data. What did you buy? How much did you spend on it? How much did it cost you to get it graded if you bought raw? Then factor in the grading fee. And then how much did you sell it for? You don't know if you're winning if you don't keep score. So make sure you're keeping track of this stuff. I personally would recommend a tool. If you want to use market movers, cool. Links down below. If you don't, get something else that'll track your collection. Market movers isn't perfect when it comes to collection tracking, but it does a pretty darn good job. It gives real-time pricing updates, etc. You don't even necessarily need that, but you at minimum, you need to be tracking what you paid for it, if you put any money into it, aka grading fees, and what you sold it for, to know what you're making money on. And maybe you'll find trends in your own stuff. Maybe you do better on some stuff than other stuff. Maybe you're really good at nail and prism, but you suck at nail and optic for whatever reason when it comes to grading. You find out that you've been getting back more PSA 10s than prism. and more PSA 9s and optic, because maybe the 4 white sides just drive your eyes cross-eyed or something. Who knows? But you need to be keeping track of your stuff one way or the other. You need to know what you have and what you put into it. You know, if you rip a box, you know, I came up with a method to track what I paid for a card if I ripped wax. Roughly, it's not a perfect science, but you at least need to have a rough idea in there. That cost you money just because you got it out of a pack. What didn't mean it was free. So you need to keep track of all that stuff. You have to track your profits and losses. You know what you took a loss on and know what you took a win on. It's the only way to sustain. That kind of leads me into, and this wasn't necessarily on my list, but I personally, the way that I treat this now, and this is to protect myself more than anything else, I am at the point now where I only use card money to buy other cards. Now, when I started out, that was not the case. You know, I'd dip into the savings, dip into the paycheck for that week a little bit until I built my base. And then probably about a year into it, so the first year in, I was kind of doing that. The second year, because I've been in it pretty heavy for almost 2 years now. The second year in, I'm at the point now where I am only buying with profits from what I sold. So I'm no longer dipping into the savings account, the checking account, the bank account, the wife's checking account, the box under the bed, etc. I would recommend trying to get to that point, because then it kind of helps you sustain, and it also, you keep a way better track of stuff too when that's the case. And yeah, I leave some money set aside so I'm ready to buy something if I see a good deal on something. I never have that balance down to zero where I absolutely have to sell something before I can buy something else. I keep a little slush fund handy of profits off stuff that I sold. And it's also a good way to get you to build up to a bigger card. If there's something really monstrous that you want out there that you can't afford yet, you keep slowly building that fund up, spending from it to buy the next batch of inventory, flipping it, et cetera, and get to the point where you could buy whatever it is that you want. A Jordan, a LeBron, a nice Luka. Maybe it's something that's not even card related. Maybe it's a nice, I've been dabbling in graded comic books. I've been putting some of the profits towards that stuff. Maybe it's something completely outside the collectible market. Maybe it's a vacation. Who knows? The last big one, and this one should be common sense for most of you guys. If it's not, I was going to do a separate video on this, but I don't think it justifies it. It's easier just to throw in here. If you're not using eBay and you're going off eBay, Facebook, Discord, Instagram, whatever, I strongly encourage you, only use PayPal goods and services. Anything else, if the seller says they do not take PayPal goods and services, they only take friends and family or Cash App or whatever, that should at least throw a red flag. Maybe the guy's perfectly legit, or girl, but you at least need to immediately have your guard up and take a second look about everything about this transaction that you're about to do. Because if you do PayPal friends and family, you have absolutely zero protection. If they don't ship you that card or whatever, you are basically screwed. Goods and services, pay the 3% fee, and you get buyer protection. PayPal will take care of you if the card never ships. Or if you don't get what you bought, or something along those lines. But if someone's like, nope, only take friends and family, at minimum, raise a red flag, start asking some more questions. Ask to see coin photos. If you don't know what coin photos are, it's basically the old, I kidnapped someone, you hold the card up next to today's paper, except usually they write their name on it, their Instagram name, their Discord name, whatever. And then lay that next to the card and take a photo of it to prove to you that they actually have it. If someone seems sketchy about something, ask for that. Don't hesitate to ask for that. It's a common question to ask. But you guys have to protect yourself. The more and more money that flows into this, the more and more bad people that are going to follow and try to work around the edges and cheat the system. So you need to protect yourself. And really the only way to do that is PayPal goods and services. Listen, PayPal sucks sometimes, don't get me wrong, but it's the weapon that we have to use. And it's one of the few that we have, especially if you're going off eBay. eBay is a little bit different because you're a little bit more protected on there because eBay has their own buyer protection guarantees. But if you were off eBay, pay the 3% goods and services. Even if you pick it up, it's well worth it, especially on a high dollar item. So, that's my list. Sorry, it's kind of rambly. Like I said, I had all these kind of thoughts, but I didn't really know how to put them in one concise video without making a bunch of smaller videos. And I kind of just wanted to dump them all in here. So those are my Coughlin's laws of sports card investing. If you have any that you guys follow, any little, rules of thumb, do's and don'ts, whatever, throw those in a comment down below. Let me know what they are, because maybe it's something I can adopt. And I probably forgot some too. I'm sure I'm going to upload this video and immediately go, oh, you idiot, you forgot this one. So, but those are just some of my random thoughts on all this shenanigans. But like, comment, sub down below. We're getting close to 1,500. If you're not signed up for Market Movers, link down below to check it out. If you guys have any questions on anything or anything that you guys think I missed, let me know down below, and I'll chime in. I would like to do a live sometime, but my work schedule has been crazy lately. So we'll see about getting something like that on the books. But that's all I got for you guys today. We will catch you guys on the next one, and peace.